Hannley, Miles. Alcohol and drug addiction has become a huge problem in the United States, but here in San Antonio, treatment is available at Soba, Texas. It's a unique recovery center that goes beyond the traditional 30-day program. And joining us this morning to talk a little bit more about addiction and recovery, Tara Connor is here, Miss USA 2006 and recovery advocate. Greg Hannley, CEO and founder of Soba Recovery Center, and actor Daniel Baldwin. It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming in this morning.
Of course.
You know, whenever you guys are here, we always have some interesting things that are trending in the news. I found a study, and it really hit me how serious of a problem this is. And I want to read you some stats, and you tell me what you think about this. The study was just done last month, and one of the things that came out in this study, more than 4 out of 10 say they personally know someone who has suffered from opioid addiction, including 1 in 5 who say they have that person in their immediate family. Does that shock you, or does that seem right?
That's about right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I think it's just more people are coming forward about it now because it's such a huge issue that we can't keep turning a blind eye to it. I saw today that kids are getting hooked on Suboxone because they're in their parents' medicine cabinet.
Okay.
For their parents
what
coming
is
off
that?
of opioids.
I have to ask questions.
That's
like,
what they give you to detox is Suboxone.
And kids are using that now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Suboxone also, when you hear of medicated assisted treatment, that's one of the things that they use. So same guys that created the epidemic are now selling the cure.
Well, that brings me to this next fact, which plays right into that. In this study, they found that when Americans are asked who they blame most for the opioid addiction problem, they say people who abuse pain medication, #1, followed by pharmaceutical companies. Should flip that, right?
Chicken in the egg right there.
Yeah, that
that's
definitely
the
needs to
chicken
be
in the
flipped.
egg.
Yeah.
Did you say 1 in 5 people?
1 in 5 people.
That's a lie.
You think it's more?
Oh, my God.
Really?
Listen,
Everybody we talk to knows somebody.
Yeah.
That's like saying 1 in 5 people know someone or someone in their family will have a breast cancer situation.
Right.
You don't know someone that's had breast cancer problems? So to be in a high school today in America, any high school, you know somebody that the kids are sitting there going, oh, he's the one going to the bathroom. And there's lots of them in every high school. So to say 1 in 5, now to go home and admit it to your parents may be a different story. That might be 1 in 5 that actually are in a relationship with their parents. They could say, hey, there's heroin in my high school. I sat across the table from a superintendent of a school in New York who said, well, we'd love to have you speak. And I went, and I listened to them talk a little more, and I went, you do realize there's heroin in your high school. I've placed 3 graduates from your school into the Soba program. And they went, oh, no, there's not heroin in high school. I went, let me bring a dog. Let me bring a dog, and we'll walk by your lockers and watch how many of them the dog points its tail.
Now that I'm not surprised by. We have the same situation here in San Antonio. I mean, I have a high school kid, so I feel like I know what's going on. But you did say one thing that I think is very important. At the very beginning, you said it's at the forefront now because people are talking about it. Well, and I think that is a benefit of a conversation like this, because the more that we talk about it, I feel like the more other people feel comfortable talking about it, and eventually we can fix it.
Well, we need to normalize it because you guys have been barking about this for how long, 10 years?
Yeah.
Barking in a good way.
Barking in a good way, and it's just now there's so many people that are like croaking over it. And that's just the people that are coming forward to say that they had a loved one that died.
They passed 76 bills in Congress having to do with opiates about a week and a half ago.
That's right. I read like $500 million being thrown at
Yeah, but when you're passing 76 bills, it means you don't know what to do.
Right.
So, the nice thing is that eventually we're going to have a voice because we know what to do about this. And shortly, we're coming out with a cutting-edge, non-addictive, inexpensive opioid home detox.
Really?
Yeah, where people can take care of themselves at home because, a lot of people can come. We're doing such a small part. For every 20 that we get into treatment, there's, 2 million that need to go that can't.
That sounds pretty revolutionary.
That's the point. And so Greg looked at, again, just how he set up Soba, what works in rehabs that, and he went to one of the supposed best there was, and what have I learned that doesn't work over the years of doing this. And one of the most frustrating things is and Janie, who will be on later, will tell you how many times I get someone to the point of going to rehab, but their insurance doesn't cover it and they have no money. This is a stopgap that Greg and his company have developed, that there is a way to possibly do this. It's not the best way right now, but it's certainly an option when you have no options.
Well, and it's pain management after. Because there's nothing in between a Tylenol and a Vicodin. So that isn't going to kill you. So a hard part in treatment is when you get somebody clean, but they have bad pain. And so and Tylenol isn't going to do the trick, and it's kind of like harm reduction. So, you know, we found something that helps.
You know, I want to make an observation really quickly. I've watched you transition on this show when it comes to being a mom, because you become more educated, knowing about what's going on in here, and there's fear is a core emotion. There's healthy fear, and to have that fear for your child. But you know, when I bring up the thing about the dog, go ahead if you're in the high school and ask the police to come down and go through it. If you really want to know how bad it is and how many kids are really taking pills, the dog can sniff the pills.
They won't do it, then they have to deal with it.
That's right.
The thing.
There
if they actually acknowledge that there's a problem, then they actually have to go forward with finding a solution to that problem.
Exactly.
Well, and there's no solutions except us, and then insurance isn't paying for it.
It is summertime. We've got a lot of kids at home with their parents this summer, and hopefully they're watching this, and maybe this opens up the perfect conversation for you and your child to talk about what's going on in your schools, what's going on around the United States, and there is help, guys. It's Soba. It's here in San Antonio. The phone number is there on your screen. You can call. You can even send them a text message. Super simple. Just let them know that you need help. Someone will get back to you. SobaTexas.com. We've got more coming up. Don't go away. Welcome back. We're having a conversation about addiction and recovery and what to do about it. We have a treatment center here in San Antonio. It's called Soba, Texas. Joining us to talk a little bit more, Tara Connor is here. Miss USA 2006 and recovery advocate Greg Hannley is the CEO and founder of Soba Recovery Center. Actor Daniel Baldwin is joining us, and also we're adding in Jane Sullivan with Soba Admissions. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I know usually you're busy when we're doing this show, but let's talk a little bit about what you do at Soba.
So I work in our admissions department. Basically, when the phone rings, I am talking to the families who have loved ones struggling with this addiction or the addict themselves. So I just try to walk them through the whole process of what treatment is and what we can do for them, and try to find them the help that they need.
What kind of questions do people ask you when they are making that very first phone call?
It's really, what can you do for me? There's a lot of hopelessness on the phone calls, so I'm trying to let them know that there is hope for them and that there is help available.
And we can mention, too, that you are 6 years sober, so you were once in this position. Congratulations, by the way.
In Soba.
That is amazing.
She's
That's
one of the
awesome.
babies.
And you're able to use that, I'm sure, when you talk to these families or the people who are calling themselves.
Absolutely. Having been through treatment, I know how crucial it is to stay and to really fight through all these emotions that you're having. And when you want to run, you know, you need to utilize the resources that we're giving you so that you can be successful.
Well, let's talk about that, because Soba's different than a lot of treatment centers out there. You know, sometimes you're in, you're out, 30 days or less, woo, you're cured, all's well. But I think we've come to know that that's not the way it works for most people. And that's why you sort of extended the program, and you took it from the traditional program to a program that stays in touch with people, that has a huge alumni association, almost like a school. In fact, the people that you see sitting here are part of that alumni crew. You know, you stay in touch with people and you help them along the way. Why is that important to your model of sobriety?
Well, the alumni give the hope. So if I go in, when I went in, I didn't think that anybody could have suffered or had the things wrong with me. and I found out that everybody did. And, you know, a common thing is anxiety and depression. You know, the drugs take your purpose and your you know, they just take your whole core from you. So in the alumni meeting, when I went to treatment, I heard a guy speak that he told my story. And if it wasn't for that,
like, we have to know that it works.
I had no hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's such a passion for you to help others, and every time I see you guys and you introduce me to another person that's been through this system with you, and I know they're all added into your family, Greg, and I think that's a huge, huge part about this, because without you, a lot of these people wouldn't really, you know, be living the life they're living today.
But he did something, you know, that I've been asked to speak at a variety of places, and this one place in Auburn, New York, said to me, well, we really need Greg to come in here and do a rehab. I said, no, you need a pizza place. And the guy looked at me, and there's this organization, Heal, and he said, what do you mean? I said, listen, they can go out to Soba, they can go out to different places, and they can get sober. Will they come home and stay sober?
Right.
And so Greg opened up a meeting house, a place for everyone to get together before he had a rehab, a safe place for addicts to come, that they can meet with each other and be. That's what the alumni of Soba is.
Come to me. I needed a place to go.
But that's what Soba is.
Yeah.
There's lots of plants, but if you don't set the farm up with the ground that has access to water and good soil, that's what this is, the Alumni Association. It's the farm.
Yeah.
It's where you go to grow.
And there's so many different steps, too, because you have your inpatient treatment where it's the hardest of the days, but they have the option to stay longer and go through different processes and transitions so that they can walk back into life not feeling like they burst out of this magical bubble that they can't handle. And I think the alumni, I've spoken at the alumni meeting, it's so cool to be able to sit down with people, have your own experiences together and relate to each other, because sometimes it doesn't make a difference if you have 11 years or one day. You can still have that alcoholic addict day where you just need support from people that know and love you.
And the social part of it is a huge aspect.
Right.
So by the time somebody goes to treatment, you know, all of their social stuff has to do with their drug dealers and people like that. So they need to meet a core group, and these guys grab each other up. So, and they have a thing, we call it Sober Pals, on a Saturday, that somebody will come if their family isn't visiting them and just hang out with somebody, you know, because it sucks if you're sitting there and everybody's, and, you know, maybe people are mad at you or something.
Yeah.
And I went and just sat next to a guy and didn't say anything, and didn't realize the impact that had on him, that somebody cared about him enough just to come and sit. I didn't bug him, didn't, you know, and so all of these things are what make it possible to be able to reintegrate socially. And when you're young and you need a group that isn't getting high.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're at home and you're listening today and any of this sounds like something you might be going through, or someone you know is dealing with drugs or alcohol, and you're looking for help, Soba is the place to go. Again, here in San Antonio. Take a look at your screen. The phone number is there. You can call. You can send a text message. Just reach out to them. Someone will get right back to you. We've got more with Soba Texas next.
Sometimes we do things for the thrill. Sometimes we do things for survival. There have been different points in my life where I didn't know if I would survive. Seek humility, or it will find you. I have faced many fears, confronted many challenges. Having the courage to overcome the beast of addiction is by far the biggest victory of my life. True victory is victory over oneself.
trying to find a show.
Welcome back.
Picture.
We are talking with our friends from Soba. It's a recovery facility in San Antonio. And a lot of times we talk about heavy stuff. Sometimes we get to talk about some fun things. One of the cool things that Greg does is produce a magazine. It's called Recovery Today. And when you log on, you get to read all sorts of amazing recovery stories, including the story about Wee Man, which you can actually watch the interview online. Of course, you know him from Jackass. He struggled, man, and I think we know a lot of those guys did. A lot of their issues came from injuries, overextending themselves. They were doing stunts and crazy things all the time, and that led a lot of them down the path of addiction. But it's so amazing to see how he's doing today. He's an entrepreneur, a restaurateur, I suppose. Do you have a lot of fun putting that together?
Oh, I had a blast with him.
Yeah,
it was just fun to. During his interview, he goes, "One of the things that you need to do is get a hobby." And he goes, "I got a hobby. Now I have a business.
Yeah, he has a
now
taco
I'm
shop.
happy.
Yes.
It's all good now."
Yes.
And sometimes it's just the smallest statements that are really the biggest impact. If your entire life was consumed with drinking or drugging or whatever, you got to fill it with something. When that's gone, you got to fill that space. And I think he's doing a lot of business, but he was fun. He was fun to hang out
It
with.
looked like a fun interview, and you guys can check that out. Just Google Recovery Today. It'll all pop up for you. I want to get to some viewer questions real quick. This one is interesting because I feel like I know the answer to it, but I'll let you guys answer it. Is there such a thing as outpatient rehab? I know I need help, but I need to work to provide for my family. What do you do in that situation?
Sure there is.
Yeah?
Yeah, and even some of the insurance companies, what's called fail first. And, the main thing is that you do something.
Right.
So if outpatient isn't enough, then we figure out a way for you to be able to manage differently. But, it's do something. But, yeah, for sure you have to have that.
I think what's so sad about it is that addiction is an illness. It's not something where you just get to go away and sit at a spa for a month or so. It should be treated like an illness. I feel like if we could just practice inclusion in the workplace and really inform our bosses and our CEOs and all these people, hey, there's a solution to help them be bigger, better workers. And instead of just casting them out, maybe offer up the solution, because we would see a lot more people get well if that was the case.
Absolutely.
Tara brought up a good point earlier when she said you're in this protective bubble, and then you're thrust upon society when you leave inpatient rehab. I'm not denouncing outpatient rehab. It is an option if you are absolutely in a situation. But remember, it's the same situation we're talking about. The analogy to be made between the two is, if you're going to be thrust into society after 60, 90 days, whatever it is you're going to stay in the inpatient, imagine going in during the day and then coming home at night facing all those elements. That's why it's far preferential if you'll go inpatient. If there is no other option, then an outpatient is the only thing you can do. It is something that you're doing, but please take a look at going inpatient first if you can make that happen.
Of course.
Okay, we've got time for one more question. My daughter is heading, I didn't write this one, I swear. My daughter's heading to college, and I'm worried that she's going to be exposed to drug use. How do I talk to her about this?
She's already been exposed to
Yes,
Ooh,
exactly.
good answer. Yeah. What do you want parents to know? Because I know you struggled with this as a young girl.
I mean,
what should parents take away from that?
They should be real. And I think we're all so afraid that life is going to happen and our kids are going to see, somebody. It's already happened. You see it on television every single day. Drug use is so normalized these days that kids think it's fine to do whatever. So kids are starting at 11 these days, where it used to be 14 years old.
It's all about information.
Yeah, you just have to normalize it. Doing this show every month normalizes addiction, normalizes it starting in adolescence. They just need to know, and know that if their team gets to a place where they get in trouble, just call Greg and go to Soba. And there's resources out there. Don't be afraid of it. You wouldn't get mad at them if they had cancer. So it's a disease. It's an illness that needs to be treated just like any other disease out there.
All right, guys, start the conversation. Take a look at your screen. We've had the phone number up for you. You can also text. If you're in a position where you can't make that phone call right now, jot down this number, send a text. Someone will get right back to you from Soba, Texas. We've got a little bit more to go. We'll be right back. This morning we're talking to our friends from Soba, Texas, recovery facility here in San Antonio. Yes, we find out secrets in the commercial break, which I will not divulge. Alex Rigici is joining us this morning. He's the director of operations. James Sullivan is here with admissions. Tara Connor, Greg Hannley, and actor Daniel Baldwin. It's good that we could add you into this mix, the two of you, because, you know, I want people to understand that this is not for show.
Right.
When you call Soba, you're going to talk to one of these people up here. I mean, this is what it is. So let's put some faces with the people at the other end of the phone.
Most of the time, it's Jan answering the call. Right now, she doesn't have the phone, so it could be Steven. It could be, there's a lot of people there that could be, Garrett could be answering it.
Yeah, and you two guys are very modest about because I got to tell you, I get them and I throw them over to Jane or Alex. And it's like being a 911 operator sometimes. I mean, it's not always, oh, and we have a lovely facility.
Sometimes
it's people panicking, isn't it, Alex?
So last weekend, I had a friend from high school reach out, and then within 2 days, they came out with their parents, did a tour, and I told them, just come out and do a tour. They hadn't talked to them about coming out. I don't want to say guy, girl, or anything. They hadn't talked to them about it. They came out, did a tour, got them to the point of saying, yeah, I'll just come look at it. Same day, they stayed. Now it's like a little bit more than a week later, and it's a complete turnaround.
It's got to be a good feeling when you're able to get someone from the phone into the actual facility, you know, and I know that's hard.
It's the best.
Yeah.
But people have a different idea of what it looks like. They think it, in the mind, that it's like a jail or a hospital or a ward or something like that, and it's a ranch. And yesterday I was eating lunch there, and the guy came up and goes, this is the best food ever. I stay next to the ranch, and we go over and eat with them every day just because the food is so good.
I think the important thing to note is that it's okay to make that phone call. It's okay to take your family out there and show them what you're going to be doing, because the more people that know what you're about to do, the more people are going to support you.
Right.
And that's what this is about today. You are very lucky that we have this facility here in San Antonio. The phone number is 210. It's 727-2692. Go to sobatexas.com. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter, and hopefully we're able to help some of you this morning. Have a good one. Deuces.
Deuce up.
People think courage is simply walking through fear. Courage is not running from yourself. I believed getting sober meant I would lose my edge. Turns out, I was wrong. I only surrendered the things that were holding me back. But all those fears I've faced over the years pale in comparison to the courage it took me to get sober. When you think your world is falling apart, it's actually coming together. I have found my freedom and will do anything to protect it. And so can you.